In this video, we're going to look into how to set up our HDRI lighting so we can finally get our final render of our vehicle. And we're also going to look into some shaders and how to texture our car. So this is basically the final look that we're going to aim for. Alright, and this is the final file, and as you can see, we have our vehicle that's been completely textured and also has all the details that it needs. We also have a kind of like a surface geometry where we're kind of placing our car, and we have a dome which is where we're going to be mapping our HDRI texture, because we're going to be using the HDRI for it to create these nice reflections, and in essence to create the light for our scene as well. Alright, so let's begin. So let me just open a file where all this is not complete. Okay. And as you can see, this is a file where we have the complete model of the car. You know, on all of this is polygons. To make smooth, you can either select the whole thing and press 3 to see a smooth preview. Alright, or if you prefer, you can always you know, depending on the amount of subdivisions that your vehicle might need, you might actually have to go into mesh and add smooth, and you can actually, you know, increase the amount of resolution that your geometry might need to be smooth and stuff like that. Also, as you can see, there's a lot of details that have been added, and all of these were constructed using polygon techniques such as this and some of these details. So again, at this point we just want to set it up for our final render. So let's begin, and to start with, I'm going to start by creating a cylinder, which is basically going to be the surface that the vehicle is going to be standing on. And I don't really need the whole thing, I need about half of it, so I'm just going to go to the top viewport right here and get rid of some of this geometry. Alright, now I also don't need the top, so I'm going to get rid of some of this geometry right here as well. Okay, and I need to set up this guy to be right under the car, so I'm going to need to scale this up a bit, like so. Okay, and now when we need this to kind of rest at 0, so I think I'm going to start by aligning my pivot to this vertex that I have right here. So to do that, I'm just going to move my pivot right there, and I'm going to snap it to the vertex. Okay, and let's get out of that mode, and I just want to go into the front view, and again make sure that this is resting right on the ground. Again, I want to snap it to the grid. Okay, that's the easiest way. And now I need to kind of move this a little bit, and I think the scale is fine. I might not need this to be this tall, so I'm just going to bring this back down a bit. And again, I want to make sure that I'm not snapping anything to the grid, so I'm just going to bring this down a bit. Alright, and I also want to smooth out this edge right here by doing a bevel. Alright, I can go into my channel box and go into the bevel and just tweak it up as I need. 2 is fine. Add a couple of segments. Alright. And if I apply a smooth preview, this is going to be nice and smooth there, so that's exactly what I need. Okay. And then the next thing that I need to do is again create a sphere that's going to serve as my dome, where I'm going to apply my HDRI texture. And another thing I want to do is probably make sure that these are on their own layers as well. So let's call this one ground. Save that. I'm going to freeze it for now. And I want to create a sphere. Okay. And just like the surface that I created for the car, I don't need the whole thing, so I'm just I'm going to go ahead and scale this down a bit. Okay. Even if it cuts with the background there is fine. And I'm also going to get rid of half of this sphere, or about half of it. So let's get rid of this right here. Okay. And let's go back into my perspective. Alright. And again, I didn't get rid of all of it, so let's just go ahead and do it here. Alright, so I got everything that I need right there. I deleted some of these polygons back here, but that's not really a problem. Next thing I want to do is set up a camera. So I'm going to go into create, and I'm just going to create a camera, and it's been created here 000, so I want to make sure that I set it up. I want to look through the selected, and I want to set up my camera, and I want to be able to see the film gate, because that way I'll know exactly you know, how it's going to look in my render. So I want to see exactly how big this is going to be. My final render is going to be somewhere around, it's going to be 720 HD, actually it's going to be HD 1080. But any renders that I do, I don't really want to do at this size, because it could take a lot of my time. So if I divide this maybe in 3, I'll get something that's big enough for me to see exactly what the final look's going to be, and but it's not going to take as long for me to get those results. So this is going to be 640 and 1080 divided by 3, 360. Alright, so as long as I keep the same aspect ratio, and my film gate will have the same proportion, so that way I'll know that my final render is going to be what I need it to be. I also want to set up at this point, once I set up where I want my camera to be, I want to set up a bookmark for it. So let's just create a new bookmark. Alright, that way if I move my camera, I can go back to this spot if I need to. And let's just switch back to my perspective. Alright, and I also want to create a layer for the dome. So this we're going to call the HDRI HDRI dome. And save that. Okay, so now I need to kind of set up my lights. First thing that I need to do, again, let's go back to my camera. I'm going to do a test of what it's doing right now, and everything's going to be blocky, and even our background's going to look really weird. One of the reasons for this is because we're using our Maya software to do these renders, and if I want my smooth preview to render through my render view, I want to make sure that I'm using mental ray, which again I'm going to in order to set up my HDRI image to pretty much emit the light for this scene. I'm gonna have to turn it on so I can use Final Gather for that. But again, as far as the smoothness of the card, you have the option of using the smooth preview by pressing 3, or you can go into edit mesh and use the smooth tool. But again, I just use this because it's my preference. So if I go ahead and switch this to mental ray, alright, and I do another render, it's going to take a little bit longer. Alright, a couple of things are going to happen once I do this. Basically, all of the smoothness in my scene, everything's going to be smooth as I want it to be. But another thing I'm seeing is that my image planes are showing through. So I do at this point I do want to get rid of them because the model's finished and I really don't want that in my render. So I'm going to go into my hypershade, and I need to get rid of those image planes that I created. So I'm going to go into cameras, alright, and I basically want to get rid of all the image planes that I have, which is basically all of these. Okay, and if I do another quick render, all of my image planes should disappear. Alright, and they're not there anymore, so that's that. And let's see what happened in my render settings once I turn on mental ray. Once I turn on mental ray, I have a bunch of different things that I can play around as far as the settings. Since we're gonna use the HDRI for our lights, we need to kind of set a couple of things up here. I'm going to start by making sure that I go into color management and enable the color management. And again, the reason for that is because the output that our image is going to be rendered at needs to be at sRGB. If that's not the case, again, our image is not being gamma corrected for a monitor, and our final render might be a little bit darker than what we expect. So, we want to make sure that we do this first. Then we want to go into our quality, and again, by default, this is my at 2014. If you have anything lower, it usually is by default kind of setting that gives you a result that's not it's not as fine as what a final render should be. So make sure you go into quality and change that. And if you're working in 2014, again, I just want to make sure that my quality it's somewhere like 1, so my final render it's at a nice quality. Automatically our final gather was turned on. Alright, and again, just by having this on, this is what this is going to be producing some bounce lighting. But again, we don't really have anything in our scene to produce any light, so it's just kind of using the Maya default lights. And again, you're seeing the difference between an image that was rendered without being gamma corrected and one that's being gamma corrected, because our last image was really dark, and I got this result just by changing the default output profile to sRGB. Another thing that I need to do in my comment tab, I need to make sure I enable the enable default lights, because again, this is probably going to make our render a little bit brighter than it needs to be. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn this off. And if I do a render right now, everything's going to be black. So I need to start adding some things into my scene for this to work. Let's start with the HDRI map that needs to go into our globe or sphere. So let's go into my perspective. I'm gonna select my sphere, which now it's frozen. Alright, so we got the sphere, and I want to go into my hypershade. Alright, and I want to apply my HDRI material to a surface shader, because again this it's kind of like a flat shader that doesn't have a lot of information to it, so it's the right one for this specific type of job. And I'm gonna once I have it, again I'm gonna double click on it so I can see my attributes. I'm just gonna call this HDRI globe. Okay, and I want to assign it into this right here. And let's just make sure it's assigned there. Okay. I'm not sure. It should go black. Okay. I'm gonna assume that it's assigned to it, but I don't know why it's not showing up. And again, I can go into the attributes on my object and see what's going on. Actually, it's assigned there. Then I need to go into my out color, and I need to click into this checker box. Alright, and I want to select the file. Alright, because again I'm going to bring in an image for this. And I have this in my, let's see, this is my textures folder. And I'm basically going to be using this studio underscore render underscore Eric design reflection dot HDRI HDR map. And this is something that I found free online. If you do a Google search for free HDRI maps, you'll be able to probably bump into this one as well. Pretty commonly used. So I'm just going to go ahead and open it. Alright. So let's see, we should have an HDRI map on our sphere over here. And another thing that I want to do is maybe assign a couple of materials here on this one. I'll probably want to create a Lambert for it, when something that doesn't have any reflections or anything like that. So I'm just going to assign this one to it. I'm going to make sure that, okay, number 2. And for this one, I want to probably make it a little brighter than what this is. Okay, and if I go here, it's been assigned to it. I probably want to bring up the incandescence a little bit, make it a little brighter. Okay, I want to go ahead and save my changes at this point. I'm also going to go ahead and freeze, hide my dome and ground, and I want to assign a material to my card to start testing the lights. And again, in this case, I'm going to stick to mental ray materials, and I want to use a Mia Material X. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and create that material, and then I'm going to select my whole car and just do an assign material to selection. Okay. Again, I just want to go into my attribute editor, make sure that everything is there supposed to be. Okay. And again, this is the default kind of Mia material, and I'm going to keep my reflections on again just to kind of get an idea of what my HDRI map is doing. So I'm going to turn on my dome and my ground again. I'm going to go into my camera. Alright, and I'm going to do a test render of what this is doing. Just hope it doesn't take too long. Just gonna pause the video for a second. Alright, and this render took about 33 seconds, and we can see the results. Okay, again, this has a blade material that has no reflections to it. It's probably a little bit too bright for our purposes, but we can kind of play around with that a little bit. And you can see what the HDRI map is doing. And again, by having final gathering turned on, it's basically, again, we're kind of creating a little bit of indirect lighting that's being produced by our dome, and at the same time the dome is actually creating these reflections on our car. It's giving it this kind of really nice, somewhat realistic render. And again, this is kind of what we want to go for. So I want to go ahead and play with my settings here a little bit. And again, maybe add a little bit more to the point density, just to kind of give to get a couple more final gather points for my render. And let's add a little bit more to my point interpolation. And again, this is gonna blur out a little bit of my final gather, so I want to increase that up a bit. And again, I want to do another test render of this, and I'm going to keep this one just so I can compare. It should be about the same time, but let's just start rendering. I'm just going to pause the video for that. Okay, and this one actually took a little bit longer, took about 49 seconds. As you can see, there's quite a difference between the two, and by increasing our point interpolation and our point density, you know, this new render is actually a lot cleaner than what our original was. You can see, if I go back, okay, it's a lot of spottiness over here. It's not too bad, and you know, our reflections are a little bit as sharp, but you know, once I switch to the new one, it's actually a lot cleaner. And again, one of the things to keep in mind is that one of the reasons why the sphere is being used rather than applying it to the environment of our camera is so we can actually manipulate the map that's applied to this sphere. Let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and assign a UVW map to my sphere. Again, this one has the HDRI map applied to it, and I'm just going to apply something like a spherical mapping. Alright. And again, it should kind of distribute my image a little bit differently than what it was originally. And you know, if I were to do a render right now, it should definitely give me a little bit of different results of what I originally had. So again, I'm just going to make another I'm going to keep that image, and I'm just going to make another quick render, and I'm going to pause the video while that's rendering. Okay, and again, this one took about 47 seconds to render. And just a comparison between the two, notice that by applying a UVW map to our dome HDRI map, it basically changed the way that the reflections are being projected onto our object, and it's actually a much nicer, less bright result. So definitely this is a lot nicer than what we originally had. I think this one's a little bit bloated. So at this point, now that I have a really nice render, and I have you know, everything's kind of working really well here, I can start assigning some materials to my vehicle. So let's go ahead, and again, I want to keep this image. I want to go into my Hypershade, and again, I'll find it in Windows, Rendering, Editors, and then Hypershade. Okay, and Next thing about Mental Ray is that it has a lot of really nice procedural materials that you can play with. We started working with the Mia Material X, which we applied to a car, and it's the one that gave us this really nice result. But Maya also has a procedural Mental Ray car paint material, and it's this one right here, the mi underscore car underscore paint underscore p fan underscore x. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on this one so I can have that material here, and I'm gonna double click on it. I'm gonna go ahead and assign this material to pretty much the body of my car. So I'm gonna switch to perspective viewport here. Let's get out of here on this one. Okay, so I should select the whole body. Okay, all the different pieces. Alright, I know the door handles kind of have to be the same color as the body, so I'm going to select those. And this bottom part right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and assign it. Alright, and again, I'm having a little bit of an issue here because my textures are not showing up. So I'm gonna save this. I'm actually, well, the texture is there, it's just not showing up for whatever reason. But again, I can go into my camera and I can just do a quick test. So let's start rendering this, and pause the video while this is processing. Alright, and this one took a little bit longer. It's 1 minute and 3 seconds, and as you can see, it's nice, really really nice card shader, paint shader that we just added. And again, just like anything here, you can actually go in there and edit it out if you want to change the color. Let's see, double click on it, and let's see, usually you want to play around with the base, the edge, and the lid color. And again, you can kind of see how those three are kind of affecting the shader. If you can look at the preview here. So for instance, I ended up going for a more kind of greenish, like a green blue color for my final one. Again, I'm going to switch this to an RGB. Let's just stick to something like this. As you can see, see what's going on here. That's what our base color is. And then the edge color is pretty much everything that's around the edges of the card shader. So in a sense, it's what you see as the, I guess, as the camera kind of is moving further away from I guess the actual base color of it. So usually the edge color you want to keep some sort of dark color, possibly black, and then the lid colors, again, what you're seeing right here. And you usually want to stick to something that's close to what your base color is. So somewhere along the line of that, or possibly brighter. Alright, so again, we get kind of something interesting here. And I can go back here, and again, I don't want to do a whole render of it, but I can do an area just to kind of see how it's behaving. So again, I'm kind of drawing a marquee with my cursor here, and then I'm just going to click on the render region. See what that does. Hopefully it doesn't take as long as the other ones, but just in case, I'm just going to go ahead and pause this real quick. Alright, so that wasn't that bad. That was 18 seconds. And again, you're starting to see the difference that of the change color of the color changes that we made on our shader. So at this point we want to start creating some procedural materials where our Mia X materials and let's see, let's go back into our hypershade. The nice thing about the Mia X materials in Mental Ray is that you know, it comes with a bunch of presets that you can use right away. So for instance, if we needed chrome for our wheels and our grill and those edges and stuff like that, you know, I just created a new Mia X material, which is this one right here, and I could go into my presets and just change that into a chrome material, and then come here and assign it to any areas that need to be chromed, like this, and this one. Alright, so we can go into the Mia Chrome and just assign it to it, and it's going to be right there. And again, I want to go back into my bookmark, go into my render window here, and again I want to see what this new chrome material just did. And again, I'm just gonna do a little window here. It should take just a couple seconds. And this just render into region. So we want to now that we have our light setup, and you know, we need to start adding materials to our car and doing small tests like this to make sure that, you know, they're doing what they're supposed to do. And again, we're seeing a nice kind of chrome color here, you know, so that's gonna work. But there are some things that, you know, we're not gonna be able to address with procedural materials. I mean, we're gonna be able to assign a really kind of reflective material to our windshield, and you know, for the most part we're going to be able to address a lot of stuff with the Mia X and whatever presets it comes with. But you know, for instance, these little things right here, they actually have the BMW logo and that's something that we're going to have to add with a texture. So for that, again, I'm going to switch to my perspective. And again, some of these are basically an instance of each other. And again, I just want to make sure. So you can, well, at least these two are. You can see that any changes that I make to this one is going to affect this one. But and again, I kind of want to use the UBW kind of mapping technique to apply the texture to this guy right here. And to do that, again, you will have to go into Window, UV Texture Editor, and this is basically showing us how the geometry is going to be distributed. And again, right now you can see the smooth out here, it's also smooth here. So, and again, at this point, again, I need to make sure that whatever I apply to this is going to at least stick to this circle right here, which is this right here. So I'm going to basically take the geometry that's, let's see, face, that's that circle. We need to you can see that, you know, this little circle that's right here is this big circle in my UV texture editor, and then I have, you can see that all the rest of them are kind of these little lines going around. So I kind of, and I need to project a planar UVW on this, so it projects this as a whole surface rather than the way it's doing it now. So I'm selecting my faces, Okay, and I want to go into my create UVWs. I'm going to use planar, and again, sometimes I want to make sure that I'm doing it on the right axis. I think for this one's going to be X, so I'm going to project that. Alright, and that worked really well, and you can see that it's being projected correctly here on my UV texture editor. Okay, so but now we have a problem where let's see, this is actually supposed to be kind of separate from what's going on the side, which is this, and at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and select UVs here. I'm actually going to select face, alright, and I'm going to go into select shell, alright, and then I'm going to select and convert that to UVs. That way I'm going to be able to move it. Okay, and I need to take these and kind of move them somewhere else, so they're not going to be affected by whatever image I used on this piece of geometry. So again, I'm gonna make sure I have UV selected, and I'm gonna be using my move tool to move these down over here. Let's see, select that face, then I go to select and then convert to UVs. That way I can use my move tool to select the whole thing. Alright, and then I want to scale these down. Alright, because again, no detail or no map information needs to go in there. It's basically going to go on this one right here. So now I want to take this one right here and maybe scale it up a bit. Okay, and basically, you know, whatever is going to have the image on it, that's what you want to occupy most of the space. Okay, but again, it's such a little detail that I'm not really going to spend a lot of time making sure that you know, I just want to get these kind of out of the way so they're the map is not being projected on them. But other than that, I think I'm probably just going to leave this like that. Alright, again, I could probably just kind of center this a little bit better. So just going to select the UVs for here. Okay, let's do face, select that shell, convert to UVs. Alright, and I'm just gonna center there. Okay, so we got you know, we've kind of set the map up for this. Okay, then I'm gonna go into polygons and I'm gonna do a UV snapshot, and I want to make sure that I save it into a place where I can find it. I'm just gonna do my desktop for now, and it's not letting me for whatever reason. Okay, let's just go into my documents. Faculty folder. Okay, just gonna put under textures here. I'm gonna call it UV logo. Alright, and then just save that. And you know, I want to use somewhat of a good size map for this, so I'm going to stick to 1024 by 1024, and then I want to press OK. Okay, so if I and again, I'm going to open this in Photoshop, close some of this stuff up, and this is the logo that I'm going to be using. But let's go to not new, open. And let's see, the one that I just saved is called BMW. Let's see, what format did it save to? PNG UV logo. There. And let me try and make sure that it's going to the right location. again, for some reason it's still going to my default, so let's just try this one more time. And let's call this UV logo. Alright, and then save. Alright, and then we'll press OK. And I should be able to find it now there. Why is it not saving the right location? PNG, project file, press. Okay. It's going through like the right location here. Let's just try another location real quick. UV logo. And save it. Okay, and okay, do a snap. Aspect ratio, PNG. Alright, let's see if it's saved on my desktop or not. Do a PNG. It's not going there. It's weird. Okay, I'm just gonna pause the video for a second, figure this out. Alright, so I finally was able to figure out. I really dumb. Just didn't press OK hard enough, I suppose. So again, this is not the one that unwrapped. This one is. Okay, this one. So polygon, UV snapshot. Again, make sure you have a destination for it. This one, again, is going to go into my desktop, and just going to save over the one that I just saved over, which was this one, and it's okay. And then just press OK. It's alright, and it closes. Again, just kind of make sure you press OK. Don't just tap it. Make sure you press it and it closes. Otherwise, it won't give you the snapshot of this. So that's what this is, and again, you can barely see that there's anything there. Again, let's just create a bit of a background for it. You can see a little bit more of it right there. But the idea for this is that I'm gonna bring that UBW map, BMW logo that I found online, and let's see, projects, prioritization, render, textures. Again, I gotta make sure I bring the right logo, which is this guy right here. Alright, and it's just placed it in my document, and I can just again scale that up, make sure that it's fitting in that circle right there. It's a little bit too big right now. Okay, so something along the lines of this. And okay, let's see, I need to get rid of all these white parts. So let's use my magic wand. Again, I don't need to get rid of these, so just gotta make sure I deselect that. Okay, get rid of that. Alright, and again, the background right here has the same color as the gray here, so I'm going to save this as my texture, and I'm just going to save over the call it that. and then I can go into my Maya. Alright, and while having this selected, again I want to make sure that I'm in object mode here. Maybe smooth it out. Go into my hypershade, and again, mental ray materials, I probably want to use some Mia for this one as well. And then I want to go into color, file, and into the image name I'm going to go into the desktop and again find the texture, which is this guy right here. Alright, and now that it's there, I can select it. Where is it? It's right here. So I can just drag it into this object. Alright. Alright, and again my shaded display with texture maps is on, but it's not showing. I'm not really sure why it's not doing, not showing the textures. But again, let me just go into my camera viewport. Right here. Okay, and I'm going to do a quick render of this area just to show you that the texture is actually there. So again, just a little bit of a square there, and then render that area real quick. Should take a couple seconds. Alright, so again, we've covered that once you have your HDRI, and again you can see the logo right there, it's pretty small. Probably, let's see, I don't think this one's an instance, but I can actually take this and make a duplicate of it. Alright, and let's just align it to this guy right here. I'm just gonna put this one here. Let's just eyeball it. Again, this is just for the sake of the demonstration. And let's just go back to my bookmark. And again, I just want to see that logo on my tire as well. So let's just go ahead and render that real quick. So again, I've demonstrated that once you have your HDRI map set up, and you have it's producing these kind of reflections on your car, you can start adding these procedural textures to start getting these really nice results. Again, the paint job on a car, and adding some procedural textures for a rim as well. And again, the MIAX material has a bunch of default materials that we can use. So for instance, rubber for our tires, which you can actually unwrap and add some sort of bump map here for the for the thread of the tire. As you can see, and again, this is really small detail, but it is mapped out there, the BMW logo. And again, a lot of this stuff can be mapped out procedural, but some of this stuff you're gonna have to go in there and play around with the UBW map and and assign textures to them. And again, our final result, once we've gone in there and assigned the procedural materials and added a couple textures to it, should be somewhere along the lines of this. So and again, you can see that I have a similar car shader to what I use in my example, and any again translucent or glass-like material where I was all derived from the MIAX material, again from the default. chrome on the tires. You can see that I apply a texture of the BMW logo, and it appears on all the tires. I have a bump map on my tire over here, and again I did that by unwrapping it the same way that I showed you how to do this little object for the BMW. I do not have anything inside the car, which is why I have a kind of like a dark kind of glass, which again MIX material. And again, this is the end of the tutorial on how to produce a vehicle and how to create somewhat of a nice realistic render of the vehicle. And I hope you learn a lot by watching these videos. Thank you.